How's it going? Welcome to the first episode of Full Court Press. My name is Bryan Joyner. I'm one of your hosts. And this podcast is just basically going to be uh, two guys, two friends who have no basketball professional experience talking about basketball in the way of fantasy. We're going to try to have fun with this and see where it takes us. This is co-host Ben. We
What's up,
we
guys?
go back a couple years. We worked together for a while. We started a fantasy league at the office that we worked at, and brought in people that did not care a single bit about basketball in general, much less fantasy basketball. And a little bit about myself. I'm from Dallas. Moved to Houston for my wife and a job, and played basketball my whole life, high school, and then played AAU. Played against guys like Marcus Smart and De'Aaron Fox and stuff, and they killed. They killed us every time, So
That's better than me.
yeah, that's kind of just where I grew up and how I fell in love with the game.
Nice, man. Well, yeah, like you said, I'm Ben Clarke. I'm not from Dallas, but I do live in Dallas now. Grew up in California originally. I played basketball in high school as well, a little bit of intramurals in college, but a lot of wasted height with being 6'4" and pretty skinny all my life. But I don't have as many good stories as Bryan might with who he's played against. But I did play in Kawhi Leonard's gym one time, and that's about the only court. I guess I shared the court with some Arizona basketball players here and there, Aaron Gordon and Rondé Hollis Jefferson and whatnot. But yeah, not.
The gym wasn't paid for by Steve Ballmer, was it?
It may have been, but I think he was defrauded. So,
Okay.
we'll run with that.
So for the first episode, I think Ben and I have talked about it, and I think we're going to try to break down the top 10 or so picks from the 2025 draft and kind of see where we think that they can impact fantasy right off the gate. And then later on, we'll kind of go over some later first round picks and some second round surprises that we think we may have. If you want to start, you want me to start?
No, I'll go for it. I got the easy one right off the bat.
All right.
No, I think it's pretty obvious who the number one draft pick was and who's probably going to be the number one fantasy player from this class of rookies, at least with being our hometown guy, Cooper Flagg. Pretty excited about him. I'd obviously watched him a lot in college and was pretty surprised when the Dallas pulled off the number one pick, and a lot of chance for NBA being rigged really stood out at that moment. But hey, we'll take it. So
I don't care.
we needed it after that whole debacle. So pretty excited about Cooper Flagg. Obviously pretty much all around number one across the board, but I do think he will be pretty relevant, not only for the Mavs as a player, but I think fantasy-wise, it's pretty hard to pass him up. I'm looking at some of the rankings, and he's actually ranked 32nd overall.
I saw that.
That's crazy.
Top 40, and I was like, am I taking Cooper Flagg? I know he's like just hometown. Am I taking Cooper Flagg over even a PJ Washington?
No,
it's going to give me 17 and 8 and so.
Yeah, I do get the hype behind him, but I'm just, if I have to take him there, I probably won't end up with him in a lot of leagues. But obviously he's got the potential. It just depends on how they use him. But I'm not convinced, like you said, with other guys. Hopefully AD being healthy. I know that's kind of those two things don't go together. But with him and PJ and a lot of other forwards that we have, I just don't know if I see a top 40 campaign off the bat. But
Certainly, I'm not. I'd have to see. I haven't looked at a whole lot of mock drafts and stuff. I don't even know if there are many out there, but I don't see it. I can't picture what that range looks like. Is that Devin Bain? Desmond Bain range? Am I taking him over Desmond Bain?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
That's a good point. I don't think there's too many mock drafts out there yet, but I will be curious to see where he starts going. Obviously all rookie drafts he'll be number one easy, but yeah, I'm curious where he's going to end up. Where would you take him comfortably?
Comfortably, I don't want in my first 3 rounds, I mean, I want pretty solidified guys. Like I want guys I know I can count on that I know that aren't going to be question marks. And if you're thinking 10-man league, like you get into 30 and you get into round 3 and 4, I don't see him as like I don't know what his fit is in Dallas. I don't know what he's a rookie, so he's going to get off to a slow start already. And then you have to deal with AD's going to get all the touches, I mean, at the beginning. And, who knows what they're going to do. Offensive, D'Angelo Russell, he shoots the ball a lot. So, like, there's only so many shots that can go around in a game,
Yeah.
So I find that if they play faster, it could work.
Mm-hmm.
But with Dallas, and you have, at all times you're going to have 2 7-footers and 6'8", 6'9" guy, like you're not, and Klay Thompson he's not running the floor. So who's pushing the ball to get him easy points in fast break? And I don't see where he scores easily.
Yeah. No, I think I'm with you on there. I know they've talked about, and especially in summer league, they're having him run the point, which could really open things up for him. At least get his touches and get the ball in his hands. But I think outside of that, like you said, there's just a lot of mouths to feed, and especially with all the rim running they do, pick and roll, and if he stands out immediately, maybe he makes a role for himself and gets him 30 minutes a night. But
what stood out to me most in college for him was his pick and roll numbers with Malawach were insane. They were so good. So that gives you a little promise on, like, if you have Gafford and Lively and AD who are all elite pick and roll, pick and pop, or all not particularly pick and pop, but pick and roll guys. So if he can translate that from college to the pros, with better centers than Malawach, no hate on him, he's probably going to be good, but he's not as good as those 3. I don't know what maybe that can turn into something, but I need to see his jump shot be a little better than I saw in summer league. That's for sure.
Yeah. What was he shooting, like 40% or something?
Oh, it was not good. And then the shots that he did make looked really rough. Like I know he got the clip of him shooting over Bronny, but like who's taking he got shut down at the beginning of that. He got the ball poked away from him, all this stuff, shot clock's going down, and he turns around and shoots like a 26-footer from like turnaround over Bronny. It's like that's never gonna.
Yeah.
You're not doing that against NBA caliber guys. No offense, Bronny, but like you're just not.
Yeah, well, that's fair. I mean, just pulling from previous number 1 picks, at least the hype behind him. I think it's only been a couple people in my lifetime I can think of that really stood out more as far as hype goes behind him. Maybe LeBron in 03, and I guess Wembanyama a couple years ago. But even then, I don't think they were going. Well, I guess LeBron might have been going high in drafts at that point, but maybe. I don't think Wembanyama went top 50, maybe top 40 at the most. But man, 32. We'll see how it comes out as drafts start going. But I don't know. I think like you said, if it's a 10-man league, maybe around 50 is probably as high as I'd go. But he definitely has potential.
Once you get your first. I don't know. For me personally, like once I get my first 3 to 4, like I know I can count on these guys, then maybe I start taking chances. But really, even then, I'm still nervous about it, But,
yeah. Well, there's going to be that guy that takes him in the second round, and we're not even have to worry about it. So.
Yeah, right. First round, 101.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So got him off the board. Who do you got up there at the top?
So pick number 2, Dylan Harper. I don't really know how I feel about him, particularly with the situation he's in. I am shocked. I was shocked when the Spurs didn't trade the pick. I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, I know. I wasn't always on the board of he was going to go to the Giannis for the number 2 pick. Like I just wasn't convinced that was the way they were going to go, especially with they already had Damian Lillard at the time, and he got hurt, but like whatever. I wasn't convinced that they were going to do that trade, but I thought they were going to do something. Get like 2 or 3. I didn't know if it was going to be Oklahoma City. They got picks galore. Maybe they were going to do something. I don't know. I didn't know where they were going to go with it, but he landed there, and you know, you just kind of have to take it like that. And I thought originally maybe they were going to shop De'Aaron Fox, you know, because at the time they got De'Aaron Fox, they didn't know they were going to have pick number 2. You know, they jumped almost as much as the Mavs did.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think they just found themselves in a bad spot.
Yeah.
And so then they go and pay De'Aaron Fox a max deal. So now he's definitely going to be a backup because they already have Castle, who's going to be the
rookie of the year.
Rookie of the year. I just don't know where he just doesn't get minutes in my like. He gets the backup minutes, but what's that going to do? The Spurs bench is not great. They added some pieces like Olynyk and stuff like that, but I don't. And I mean, everybody talks about Luke Cornette from Boston. I don't know what he's done. You know, I don't know what the bench role looks like. I mean, maybe that's a good fantasy value because he's going to come off the bench and be the guy. So maybe he turns out good in that way, and maybe you end up looking at the end of the year going like he produced just as much as Cooper because Cooper has to compete with starting lineup, you know, guys. And so you turn around and you look at the Spurs and you think maybe he is on his own, and so he can have at it however he wants.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely understand what you're saying. That's on my notes here. I have not enough playing time, but like you said, if he is the bench guy, I mean, I guess Castle's probably our best example of what they could do, like they did last year with having Chris Paul and they got Fox in now, but you know. He basically is fighting for minutes off the bench as well, and he still ended up Rookie of the Year, but it wasn't necessarily the best Rookie of the Year class.
They have an interesting – I don't know. I mean, they have a good roster. You know, obviously you put Wemby on any roster and they have a good roster, but, I mean, you look at the guard rotation as you know, Fox, Harper, Castle, Vassell, Johnson, like – you have all these guys, and last year they did bring Johnson off the bench a lot. He did well, so maybe they can work off each other, but Vassell and Johnson are both just shot chuckers.
Yeah.
Like, hard to see.
Yeah, and Fox has got to have the ball in his hands, too.
Right, exactly. And in the clutch, he's definitely, in the fourth quarter, he's never going to pass the ball. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think until Wemby gets his go-to move, which he just doesn't have. I think Fox is dominating fourth quarters for them.
In the clutch, he's getting those shots. But no, I do think Harper's a good player. Obviously, you know, not the best team in Rutgers where he came from, but you know, the talent was there. I'm curious to see, like you said, how he gets playing time because I do think he's a pretty good playmaker and he's got good vision and. You know, obviously he can score the ball, but you know, I'm curious to see with the playing time. It may not be this year, maybe next year after they make some moves, or you know, see how it shakes out. But I see it as Castle this year all over again.
And in college, he did shoot the ball really well. You know, he shot like upper 30s, I believe. So like
from three.
I think so.
Yeah.
I have to look at that again, but I believe so. I believe it's upper 30s. So maybe if Castle's jump shot's not where it needs to be, maybe Castle becomes backup point guard and Harper becomes two guard because he has the size. You know, he's like 6'5".
Yeah, he's got the size.
So he could slide in there, but it'd be interesting to see what the Spurs do with that.
Yeah, I mean, a good problem to have. You got talent and you got guys that can score, but yeah, we'll see how it shakes out.
I'm more interested. I will get to him later, but I'm more interested in the second pick they got, Carter Bryan. But that's
Arizona.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, later on down the road.
Yeah, we'll get the next guy. I'm actually he's high on my list. I don't know how you feel about VJ Edgecombe out of Baylor, but I was watching the draft and I turned it on right after Harper got picked, and I didn't think he was going 3 with Edgecombe, but just watching his story and hearing where he's from and how he plays, and you know, obviously being pretty close to Baylor here in Dallas, I obviously saw him play in college and stuff, but kind of a surprising pick for Philly. You know, I thought they, with some of the scorers on the board and some of the more talent, or I guess more talented in college, at least that we saw, they might go a different direction, but does kind of fit exactly what they were looking for. You know, a good 3-and-D guy, high energy, development is promising. You know, he's got to shoot a little bit better, but
Yeah.
I do think he's got kind of the tools to be a decent fantasy player, especially with steals and blocks. And you know, if they need him on the court, I don't know if I could name Philly's starting wing player right now other than Paul George, but who knows if he's healthy. So
Let me see. Let's see what they have listed there. Philly.
I mean, I know they had PJ Tucker last year for a minute, and one of the Martins.
Kelly Oubre.
Okay.
Well, Grimes is on the roster listed, but he's not signed yet.
Right, yeah. So I don't know if he's going to sign there, and might open up a lot of minutes for Edgecombe right off the rip.
Yeah, I don't know if he's 6'5", I think, Edgecombe. So I don't know if he's sliding down to 3, but positionless basketball nowadays is kind of hard to tell what they're doing. But I'm interested to see, because if McCain is not back to where he needs to be with the torn ACL, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe he slips in starting, because you don't want Tyrese Maxey guarding your best, the opposing team's best player. And Paul George, at this stage of his career, I don't trust him to walk down the street, much less guard anybody, the top guys. So maybe you're sticking him in the starting lineup right away if Jared McCain's not ready.
That's what I'm thinking. It may not be right off the bat. Maybe they'll have some veteran that they sign, or start somebody that doesn't really need to be starting. But
if Grimes is there, if Grimes is signed, he's the starter, no doubt. I mean,
sure.
When he played in the year last year, he's starting. Given McCain not there. But.
Agreed. But I do see him, as either a 6th man or maybe 7th man off the bench. That this year he should get a lot of run, I'm thinking, and especially if they want to develop some of their young guys, depending on how things go with Embiid, and you never know health wise for the rest of the team. Right. Maxey just carried such a big load last year that I feel like they're gonna spread it out a little bit, or they should.
They should, but I mean, it's hard to tell this team is just so hard to talk about, because you just never know. You're going to get 5 games from Joel Embiid all year, or you're going to get, and then Paul George as well, combined they may play 12 games.
Yeah.
You just never know, and you're paying them like $100 million between the two next year or something like that, like crazy.
Yeah.
For guys that never play. But anyway, I don't know. Maybe they make some moves and they opens up some space, but. Yeah, if he's starting, I may take him late.
Yeah. I mean, he's, at least from the rankings I saw, he's 123, which, say a 10-man league, 12 spots, he's right there on the cutoff. But yeah, I don't know if I'd take him more than a flyer, but I do. He's the kind of player that I like personally. Somebody that's hard nosed, wants to come in, play defense, do what's asked of him, doesn't need to shoot a lot unless it's a space in the floor and shoot some threes. But those are the kind of players that excite me to watch, mostly because that's kind of all I did, which wasn't a big contributor, but somebody that's just going to get in there, play hard, and do what's asked of them.
Yeah. Well, speaking of playing hard, I'll go down to the next guy, Con Knipple, who I personally, I know a lot of people don't particularly think he's going to translate. I know his 3-point ability is insane, but I think you just have grit and you know how to play. And he's just like this. I watched him a lot because I'm a huge Mavs fan, so I was watching a lot of Cooper Flag games, and I was almost more impressed by stuff he was doing, because he's just a smart guy. He knows he's in the right spot every time. And he's got that insane play where Proctor's falling out of bounds. He grabs his leg to pull him back in. It's just I've played a lot of basketball in my life. I've never even thought about doing anything like that.
Very cerebral.
So, it's just insane. And then watching him in Summer League, I thought the same thing. I thought he just knows how to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
He wins Summer League MVP. And I believe he was the MVP of the final game. And so I just find that I trust the guy. I don't know. I'll take him. Elite shooters, especially on a team like the Hornets, where Brandon Miller's not the greatest shooter. LaMelo Ball is a pass first guy. obviously will shoot the ball, but he wants to pass. He wants to get everybody involved first.
Mm-hmm.
I like Con Knipple honestly more than most of the guys in this draft, behind like Cooper. But like,
Mm-hmm.
I would take a chance on Con Knipple like late,
Yeah.
before I take a chance on VJ or maybe even Dylan Harper. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I actually agree with you on that. I think, shooting, especially in say your fantasy league has extra points for 3-pointers made, that's really going to help him out. But there's two comparisons I have for him. One's real and one's not. But so go back to like high school, right? And you're playing basketball, and there's the coach's son. He's like the quintessential coach's son, like not very athletic. I mean, a little bit obviously because he's playing, but not the biggest guy, not the best guy on the team, but he just shoots the lights out. And like he really shouldn't be on the team, but his dad is the coach, and he can just shoot 3-pointers. He's just gonna just rain down on you when he gets in there. So that's who I see him as, and then also Kyle Korver.
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Like he doesn't really look like him, in how he looks, but as far as his shot goes and the way he plays, that's kind of who I think of. Always in the right spot. Not necessarily like a Ray Allen or Steph Curry where they're just gonna get their shot up all the time, but he's always in the right place to be fed the ball and put it in the basket. So
No, I totally agree. I think Kyle Korver's a good comp. That's exactly what I was thinking about too when you started that. His athleticism is comparable to more of Kyle Korver. Now, I don't think his jump shot is as quick as Korver's was. Like
Sure.
Korver can just absolutely just laser it right off a screen. Which I'm not saying he can't do that, but he needs a little more set before he goes.
yeah,
But what I do like about him that I don't think Kyle Korver ever had in his game is he can take off the bounce, and he can use his size. He's a lot bigger.
yeah, he's like 6'6".
6'8". I thought he was like 6'8".
Oh, is he?
6'6", 6'7". But anyway, no matter what, that being that size and being as strong as he looks, I think he can be able to use his body well to get shots off.
Yeah, I am excited to watch him play. I mean, I like watching LaMelo play. Just he's pretty entertaining, and you never know what he's going to do. But I think that they actually made some pretty decent moves considering their draft spot, and what they were lacking last year, especially, was just shooting. I mean, they have a lot of shooters, but they don't have a lot of good shooters.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know what LaMelo and Brandon Miller combined for percentage-wise from three, but it's gotta be rough.
Let's see. LaMelo last year shot 33%.
Oof. What about Miller? It's got to be like 31.
And then Miller was 30. Oh, it was 35. It says,
okay.
But he only played 27 games.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
The year before was surprisingly 37%
Okay.
on 74 games. So maybe he's a better shooter than I given him credit for. But
I mean, combine him and LaMelo, average it 34, give or take. Obviously, LaMelo took more shots, but I mean, 34% from your top two guards.
you're right. And they add Colin Sexton in the summer, and they add Spencer Dinwiddie.
Oh, Jesus.
Both are shot chuckers.
Yeah.
Trust me, Spencer Dinwiddie will just absolutely take over games for the negative.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everybody's like, anyway, nothing get into another time, but everybody hates the Mavs because they're like, oh, well, we got rid of Spencer Dinwiddie. We have no point guards, and it's like, I don't think y'all watch games because this guy would take whole quarters and shoot just absolute nonsense.
Yeah, I used to watch him back at Colorado when he played against Arizona, and yeah, he loved to shoot the ball.
He likes to shoot, and he's got a weird jump shot. Anyway,
Yeah.
nonetheless.
Moving on to Mr. Ace Bailey. Honestly, I thought he would slide more. Obviously there's the whole drama with Utah saying they weren't ever going to draft him and whatnot, but I don't know. I don't know how you feel about him, but I'm really not high on him. Obviously he's talented. He can score at will when he wants to, but him and some other people later that we'll talk about. They're just kind of the mold player that I don't get excited about. Obviously, he's got the frame. He can translate to the NBA pretty easily. But going to the Jazz, a situation that's maybe I don't think he'll get playing time right off the bat, but maybe over time. They seem to, at least the last few years, they seem to be pretty committed to just rolling out whoever the hell they want and
Right.
just hoping for the best. And like, are we tanking? Are we not? I don't know. But
yeah, I'm interested to see how his game from college goes to the NBA, because in college, I mean, they say, oh, he's a tough shot maker. Well, I mean, to me, you're playing at Rutgers. That just means that you couldn't get clean shots. I don't know. That's kind of how I looked at stuff like that. Like, you're playing at a lower ranked school, let's just say.
yeah,
You have also with you a top, Dylan Harper, who's top 2 in this draft. Like, you should have been able to generate more than I think he did.
yeah. It's not like they're playing in the Big Ten, which has some good schools, but I mean, it's not like you're playing the Big 12 ACC basketball.
Yeah, and they were not good. I mean,
they're under 500.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
But as far as him on the Jazz, I think the Jazz will just play him because like, what the heck do they have to lose? Like they're gonna. They have him listed behind Lauri Markkanen, but I imagine as their starting lineup for the Jazz is Isaiah Collier, Keontae George, Markkanen, Bryce Sensabaugh, and Walker Kessler. Who Bryce Sensabaugh is like the stereotypical always in summer league guy.
Yeah.
And so I can't imagine he starts for real. I imagine Lauri Markkanen will be power forward and Ace Bailey will start.
Yeah. I mean, they may trade Markkanen like they talk about every year for the last however long.
They never trade. They signed him to a new deal. They're never. I don't know.
Yeah.
They can't trade him this year, I don't believe, because he signed the new deal.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know what the time frame on that is, but
Man.
I don't know. I think a guy like him, 6'7", who is willing to take shots. That's what I found out in summer league, was that he's not scared. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So I think off the bat, just by not being scared and being on a team where you can go out there and shoot the ball like crazy. Like, we're going to talk about Trey Johnson here after this, but like,
Oof.
insane. He's going to shoot the ball like 9,000 times.
Yeah.
So I find that he could easily average 15 to 20 points a game just because he can shoot the ball as many times as he wants to.
True. Yeah, I could see that. I just think the counting stats are going to be where it holds him back a little bit. Does he have the drive to go rebound or pass the ball when he's out there? I mean,
well, you have Walker Kessler and Jusuf Nurkic, who are not giving up any rebounds. That's how they're going to get paid.
True.
So I don't see that.
Yeah. We'll see how. I wish he went to a different team just because I think he'd have a better fit probably, but at least he gets to play a little bit more off the bat, most likely.
So did he. He wanted to go to a different team.
Yeah, true.
So we're all on the same page there, I guess.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I guess we can go down to the Wizards pick at 6, Trey Johnson out of Texas. I am a big Longhorn fan, so I watched him a lot.
Oh, no.
That guy can score the basketball. I mean, I have never seen somebody. I grew up and was able to kind of watch Kevin Durant in college and watch him score. Trey Johnson, not the size or anything like that, not to say he's anywhere near what Kevin Durant will be.
Yeah.
There he is. But the effortless scoring is just there. And
really?
Going into Washington, I don't see a reason why he wouldn't be able to move in that direction as well. I mean, I know there's some vets there like C.J. McCollum and Chris Middleton and team, players like that, but they get rid of Jordan Poole just to give them another Jordan Poole.
Always, always a good move, but then
you replaced him with exactly the same guy.
Yeah, I think that's a good comp. I was thinking Colin Sexton as well, just somebody that scored in college at will and just kept shooting. But I mean, you probably watched it more than I didn't watch too much Texas last year, but obviously being a shooter like he is, he's gonna put it up.
As a freshman, he led the SEC in scoring.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
That's crazy. It just doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to be pretty inefficient. I don't know what his numbers were in college percentage-wise, but if he gets enough volume, which he should, being on that team in Washington, then he probably will be somebody that you could grab in the later rounds, and he may outperform his ADP at that point, but
Right.
I'm just not going to. It depends how your league scored, too. If you get minus for field goal percentage and all that, it may not be your best choice, but as far as from the rookie class, he does have one of the higher potentials, I think, to put up some points.
Oh, for sure. I mean, anybody. We're going to get into like the Nets and stuff, and all these really bad teams. It's hard to start out with teams like the Spurs and the Mavs, where they're going to be pretty good teams. Typically, you go and if Cooper Flag goes to the Wizards, I'm saying that guy's going to average 20 and 10 and easily, But given the situation he's in, it just doesn't appear that it'll be that easy for him.
Yeah, which is kind of weird why Cooper Flag's being drafted so much higher than I feel like Wembanyama was when he got drafted. Spurs were terrible at that point. But
it could just be a hype train, People get excited, They get excited about this guy who everybody's hyped up since he was 14 years old, and now he's in the league. And
yeah, I guess that's fair. Wemby didn't really come around until a couple years before he came over, so It was kind of like out of the blue compared to, I'm sure Flag's been touted since middle school, playing with LeBron and stuff. Yeah. Well, I'm excited about number 7. I don't know about you with Jeremiah Fears, but you're not really, man. At least as a player, I really like him. I think going into New Orleans, I think he's going to be a pretty good fit. They've got other people that'll handle the ball too, but as far as just like a pure ball handler, pure passer, I feel like he was probably the best in the draft in my opinion. Obviously he's still pretty young. I think he's still 18, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he's the second youngest in the class, I believe, behind Cooper.
Okay. See, I think maybe going to the Pelicans is bad for him as far as his development, but theoretically, if they're healthy, he's passing Zion, and they've got a couple other people that he's going to be able to assist with. But I'm excited just to watch how he develops because he is so young and he's a little bit unproven. He had a pretty good year last year with Oklahoma, but I'm excited to see what he does. I don't think he'll be terribly fantasy relevant, but I do think he was a decent pick for if you're looking for a ball handling guard, which I feel like they need, losing McCollum and some other guys.
Yeah, they need point guard play, and he'll do that, and I think he'll get his assists numbers, like as far as like at the end of the year he might average 6-7 assists or something like that. But he's so turnover prone.
Yeah.
In college, he was horrible. He was one of the most turnover prone players in the country. And then you're going to come into the NBA, and it's not going to be any better. That's for sure. I just don't. I don't see year one. Maybe in the future, I could see like he gets confident, he gets stronger, he gets some experience. Maybe he then turns around and can do something with his speed. A lot like my comp to him is De'Aaron Fox. I think him and Fox are a lot alike as far as they came into the league with their hair on fire.
Yeah.
They play fast. They they took over games in college because of that. And I just see him developing slower than a lot of people think.
Yeah. That's probably a better comp. I thought maybe Trae Young minus the shooting. Just, great passer, turnover prone, but also probably just the Oklahoma ties that kind of swayed me. But I think Fox is a better considering the shooting. Fears can score, but he's not really going to do that. And Fox was probably a better scorer out of college than he was, but similar type play.
Right. And I don't put a lot of weight into summer league. I know players, it's their first time, they're jittery, they're nervous, whatever. They're going against grown men for the first time, really, probably.
Yeah.
He just didn't look good, and he turned the ball over a lot in summer league, and you saw him get frustrated when he was not going, wasn't going his way. He turns the ball over late in this one of the closing games. They were really close, and he makes a bad mistake and turns the ball over, and you just kind of see him get his head down and not really wanting to try that hard after that. It's just like, I don't know. I can't get on board with players like that.
It'll be a perfect fit with Zion then.
Oh yeah, him and Zion.
They just need to get Luka over there. A couple other guys.
Yeah.
They just got 5 guys not running the floor, just shaking their head.
Just being mad.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's great. Next on the list is another point guard. that I'm not high on at all. Uh,
Yeah.
but he plays for a very sorry franchise, and
Yeah.
maybe he'll be able to do something with that. But Igor Dimon
Mm.
from BYU, he's really tall, and like maybe that's the benefit. Maybe they see that as being like he can take that, and he passed well. He's very efficient in college, but he's so slow. He's so slow, and he's
Yeah.
so unathletic. And I watched him, and I was so excited to watch him because, I didn't follow BYU that much, but going into the tournament, I thought everybody was talking about Igor Dimon is like this, could be top 10.
Jimmer.
He obviously was, Jimmer, yeah. He goes top 10 here, but I was like, oh, I'm excited to watch him. And then I watched him, was like, these small guards from the other teams are clamping him up.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
He couldn't get past anybody. He couldn't, and then when he does get past them, he can't finish well. So like, he just gets stuck in this. Everybody just spaces out, so he can't do anything with the ball.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he doesn't shoot.
Yeah.
So,
Very very streaky. He'll have one great game and then a couple bad games. And
when your highlight reel for being drafted, it shows you banking in a three. It's got to be something. I don't know. It's got to be something to that.
Yeah, we should have known at that point he's going to the Nets.
Yeah, right. The Nets, who walked away with 4 first-round picks this year.
I thought they had 5.
5, maybe?
None of them of which I'm excited about. But
I'm excited about one.
Okay, we'll get to him then.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
He's late.
I watched Igor a little bit, being an Arizona fan. They play BYU now because it's all changed up, and now they're in the same conference. But I wasn't super impressed. Obviously, they beat us, which kind of sucked, but never was.
They were a good team, good coach.
Yeah, they're always there. Obviously BYU's had a lot of successful years for the last decade or two, but I just never was very high on him. And there's a lot of franchises, maybe a select few franchises, that if they draft a foreign player, I just don't trust it. Obviously the Mavs having Dirk and Luka, I'm a little more inclined to trust some of their scouts and stuff, but the Nets are certainly one on the list that whenever they draft a foreign player, I don't have high hopes for them.
Right.
There's a couple other teams, one other team we'll talk about later, that I do trust when they draft foreign players, but the Nets, not them. So not super in. I do think he'll get some run this year, but he's a great passer, I'll give him that, but I don't think that's really going to do much for him being in Brooklyn.
He'll start. I'm almost guarantee it.
Yeah.
And then with Cam Thomas coming back, and Michael Porter Jr., I can see him getting a lot of assists just because those guys are going to shoot.
True.
Like crazy.
True. And he is a good passer, but I don't see his game translating for more than, either a couple years or being a role player at best. And
unless he can figure out how to use his body and
really
move people out of the way, kind of like a Luka-esque
yeah.
player. I don't see him ever becoming anywhere near sniffing his shoelaces, but
yeah,
I maybe he then becomes relevant, but I'm not drafting him in any way.
No, yeah,
any drafts that I'm doing.
I mean, Igor sounds like Eeyore and just sounds slow, so I'm not in.
I'm not in on that.
No.
Way.
The next guy, Colin Murray Boyles. I didn't watch him too much at South Carolina, but reading up on him, looking at his profile, I don't think he's going to be much of a scorer in the league, but he does kind of present a kind of more quintessential player, especially being on the Raptors. He's kind of like Scotty Barnes. I'm not sure why they took them both, because they both really don't shoot very well, but everybody loves the 6'8", 240 guy. Like they got to have as many of those as they can. So I kind of see him getting a lot of run this year, just with the Raptors situation not being the best. But I don't particularly like the way he plays too much, but I think he'll get some activity, which may be more than some of the other guys in the top 10.
Yeah, I don't. I'm with you on that. I think he is very much like Scotty Barnes, but they do lose. The Raptors do. They lose Boucher. He goes and signs to the Celtics. So there is a spot open for Colin Murboy is
Yeah.
there. He has a decent scoring touch, but he's not the most efficient college player. Um, let's see, I have his. I mean, he shot about 69% from free throw,
Oof.
and
I mean, it's perfect, but it's also
20
terrible.
yeah, 26% from three
Yeah.
last
So
year.
yeah, that's
So
just.
he's not going to space the floor at all.
I mean, he'll space it in that they're going to leave a lot of space away from him as he's shooting, but
Yeah, right. But he shoots 60% inside.
yeah,
So he's got touch. Maybe he can expand on that and bring it out. But I don't see. I mean, defensively, he could get a lot of rebounds.
yeah,
You know,
he
could
plays
get
hard for sure.
stocks pretty easily. But you're right. He's a very hard player, hard nosed player. So he'll get some stats here and there, but
Yeah, I think
not
he'll.
worth.
Yeah, not worth fantasy wise, but I do think he'll get a lot of run as a player, which I do like players that are playing hard and
Right.
playing to their strengths. So we'll see how it goes.
Right, and to wrap up the top 10, we have the Suns, who traded for this pick, I believe, taking Common Malawach.
Well, he was part of the Durant deal.
Oh, was he? Okay. So this was originally the Rockets pick, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. And I mean, I like it for them.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't have anybody there. He's going to maybe start. I don't know who. Let me see.
No, they got Mark Williams too this
They do have
offseason.
Mark Williams, so they probably will start Mark Williams.
But they've always kind of rotated too, Ayton and Nurkic and
Right.
a couple others. But I do see him playing.
Yeah, I see him playing for sure. He going back to with him and Cooper Flag playing, pick and roll so much. I think he's 7'2", huge wingspan. I think him and Devin Booker could really get good chemistry. I mean,
Yeah.
Devin Booker will be there for the next 100 years. It seems like with the contracts he's signing, he's going to make like $70 million at the end of his career.
Jeez.
Like on one deal,
They're like, hey, we'll give you $1 million for every point that you scored
Yeah.
in that one game.
Right, yeah, and then not win any playoff games. But
Hey.
I'm interested to see.
The bubble counts, right?
Bubble counts. You're right. I'm interested to see how he plays with Booker and Jalen Green. I just don't like players who rely on other players. I don't know, like
Yeah.
if especially fantasy wise. You have 15 spots on your roster maybe.
Yeah, maybe less.
Maybe less. I mean, I'm not really high on taking guys that in order for them to get the ball, you have to have Devin Booker and Jalen Green and Colin Gillespie
Yeah.
be good enough, ball movers to get you open. And
Yeah.
I just don't see it, and they don't have spacing. I mean, Jalen Green's an okay shooter. I mean, he's streaky. Devin
Yeah.
Booker's great shooter. Dylan Brooks, Ryan Dunn,
Ugh.
Royce O'Neal's a good shooter, but those two, Dylan Brooks and Ryan Dunn, are not shooters. I mean, so your spacing is horrible.
Yeah.
And for a 7'2" rim roller to have horrible spacing, I mean, it's just not gonna.
Yeah, they're gonna really have to go pick and roll if they want to utilize him, and which, he hasn't filled out his frame totally yet, so I'm sure maybe in time he'll get better. But I kind of see him like a Plumlee, coming out of college. Obviously the Duke ties, but I feel like they're similar play. He might be a little better on defense than they were, but I could see him playing very similarly to them.
I agree. I can see that.
But I'm excited about him. I think he's a good fit for the Suns, kind of what they needed, and with Mark Williams too. I think it's definitely an upgrade compared to what they had last year. So yeah, I'm excited about that.
Right. So as far as going down late first round, maybe second round, is there anybody that you see that you like?
There is a few, and an emphasis on a few, because this draft class was not my going through them. I'm like, man, I guess they had to take somebody, but
Right.
yeah, there's definitely a few. I'll pick a couple, and you can chime in. But I would have liked Sorber more, but he's out with the ACL, so I'm a little bummed about that. But
I don't think he's playing anyway.
well, I mean, he wasn't going to play a ton, but I think just his profile, he's like, basically they just drafted a Hartenstein replacement. There's like, hey, you're the same guy, but
He is 6'9" though.
he is smaller. That's true, but I feel like the way he plays, he plays.
Plays big.
Yeah, he plays big, and he's just a beast. So I was excited about him, but I took him off the list. I don't really know. I like Cedric Howard. Fiance went to Washington State, so kind of know him a little bit through that, but didn't really see a lot about him. He played like 6 games last year before getting hurt, so we don't know what he's like, but just from his history, he definitely has the potential and basically is supposed to be the Desmond Bain replacement. We'll see if that comes to fruition, but people weren't high on Bain out of college too, so I'm curious there. But the other two that I'm pretty high on, I'll probably butcher his name, but Kasparis Jakusionis. Jokichunis. See, already off. But I think, at least fantasy-wise, I feel like Miami, they always have some sort of wing guy. I know he's more of a point guard, but some fringe player that comes in and contributes. I feel like he was slept on a little bit in the draft, taken a lot lower than I thought he'd go, just because of his playmaking ability. He can score. He's not as efficient as some of the other scorers in the draft, but I feel like pick and roll is definitely his strength. And with Bam and some of the other guys they have, I feel like he can come in and make an impact, at least for somebody that's further down on the board. So I'm curious how he'll fit in, because he'll probably get good run this year. Maybe the 7th guy. So
I hear a lot of rumors saying that, well, this was before they traded for Norman Powell, but that he may have started.
Okay.
Because your point guard is Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's a point guard. So maybe he slots in somewhere and they trade Wiggins or.
Yeah, I think Wiggins will be gone.
Yeah, I don't think he really fits what they want to do, and he just didn't seem like he really impressed the Heat organization, who is very much like, you work as hard as possible all the time.
Yeah.
I don't think Wiggins does that. So we'll see how that goes. I liked him too. I had him on my list as far as just being able to not space the floor, but like be able to distribute to floor spacers.
Yeah. Say his name one more time.
Kasparis Jokichunis.
Jokichunis. All right.
Jokichunis, one of the two.
Jokic's little brother.
Right. Yeah, but that was good. I had him on my list. I have Carter Bryant. I love Carter Bryant. I think that if he can get that shot to be consistent, then he could really do something. Fantasy-wise, I would almost add him. Obviously, I'm not going to draft him, but I'd add him later just to see how he does with his stocks. I think he's going to be crazy. I think he might, if he gets the playing time that I think he will, he could average 2 steals a game and a block. I mean, that can add some value to the end of the bench. If the Spurs are playing 3 or 4 times in a 1 week, like, you put him in there and he gets you
12 points a game.
Yeah, 12 points a game fantasy wise.
Yeah, for sure.
That's great. I just was so impressed. I mean, I watched him play against the Mavs the first game or whatever it was, and he was everywhere. I mean, he had a play, and everybody covers it, but he had a play where he's guarding ball. They drive right. He disengages off the ball, turns around and blocks a lob on the opposite side of the goal. I thought it was insane. I've never seen a player make up that much ground and just be that heady. So I think he could be great.
I, as an Arizona fan, obviously watched him a lot last year, but I am with you on a lot of what you're saying. My only fear is that, year in, year out, as an Arizona fan, you get accustomed to the one-year player that shows up and is like, man, he's a great freshman. Man, he's playing so well. Oh, he's going to be a first-round pick. And then they get the NBA, and then they don't develop, and they don't get better. They just are what they are because they, in my opinion, because they left too early. So you've got, like, Dalen Terry 2 years ago. You've got, Rondé Hollis-Jefferson probably could stay another year. But most similarly, I think, other than Josh Green, that was another one. And Stanley Johnson, like, all these guys that, just year in, year out, they're good for a college player because they are, the big 6'6", 6'7", 6'8" guy, 220. They play hard, they play the right way, just like Carter Bryant did. But their shot's not developed, or their game IQ isn't exactly where it needs to be, and then they get to the NBA, and then they're a role player for a minute. Yeah. So I'm hoping, he'll be in a better situation with a good coaching staff. San Antonio is always good at developing players. So I'm hopeful for him, but that's kind of in the back of my head always when an Arizona guy goes in the first round. I'm like, man, we're never gonna see him again. Like I mean Christian Coloco, he got a little run with Toronto, but and he was more of a center forward, but just so much talent from Arizona that isn't fully developed that I'm like, okay.
I think these guys now. Carter Bryant's not this way, but those guys you mentioned before, they got stuck in the before NIL, so they hear that they're going to be drafted top 15, and they're like, "Let me go get money."
True.
Rather than stay here for another year and who knows, I break my leg or something and whatever. Rather than now, you have players who are like, "Well, I'm going to make $5 million just being here. Like, what? I'm going to go sit on a bench somewhere and whatever." I think
for sure.
I think it's going to change a lot with NIL stuff. But,
I agree. I mean, obviously Carter could have stayed again, but I think first round is hard to pass up, so I get it. But that's just my only gripe with him.
A couple other guys I have on my list: Walter Clayton Jr. I am high on him with the Jazz. I think that he's going to potentially start. Him and Collier, I think, are going to go back and forth. They're both small guards, so I think one of them is going to end up.
I thought did he get traded to Washington?
I hadn't heard that.
Or did Washington draft him and then he went to the Jazz?
I know that I'm pretty confident he ended up on the Jazz. I'm looking at their roster right now says that he's backup point guard right now. So.
Okay, so he must have been drafted by Washington. That's my bad.
Potentially, yeah. And then I think his 3-point shooting, his ability to make shots off the dribble. I went to Texas Tech, so I got to see the last heave. That he did. He hit 2 or 3 threes right at the end of the game, last 2 minutes, that just basically won him the game. It was insane.
I remember where I was sitting when I was watching that.
I hated it.
Yeah.
I was so mad. Anyway, I think he could provide a lot of scoring. I think he's a good playmaker. I think he's a good leader.
Yeah.
That's what I've kind of found. And so I like guys who can show that they can take over a team, especially with a team like Utah, which they're all young and not a lot of real leaders on the team. Even Lauri Markkanen, I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's much of like a leader in the locker room that maybe Walter Clayton could kind of turn into.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not super worried about his size. I mean, he is small, but, you think of like Tyrese Maxey. He could be a different player style, but as far as his size goes, like, he seems to be translating just fine. It's more about how he plays than his size. So some guys I'm more concerned than others, but I don't think Clayton's one I'm as concerned about.
He's strong. He just looks sturdy too. So like I like that. The frame is not frail.
I hope people say that about me.
Maybe. A couple other. So I have on my list. I have any Nets player except.
Really?
I think that any Nets player can play 20 to 25 minutes. I don't know because they just have nobody on their roster other than Cam Thomas and Michael Porter Jr. and Nick Claxton are all going to play. Other than that, anybody can play 20 minutes a game. In particular, I have my eye on Danny Wolf. Okay. I liked him at Michigan.
Really?
I think he could really be a great like center hub for like passing and like a Sengun type player. Where they kind of give it to him high post and they cut off of him. They did it a lot in Summer League where they gave him the ball and they just kind of let him be point center. Okay. And he wasn't bad, and he didn't get the ball stolen from him, and they didn't, he did really well.
Yeah.
So I mean, I like the idea of maybe that potentially being in the Nets' identity because they don't have one.
Yeah.
So maybe he impresses in camp, and so they go like, hey, maybe we can do something with this.
That's a fair point. I'm not really high on him as a player, but I do think situationally, like you said, he could be a good fit there. And if they do play through him as a passer and kind of coming up to the high point, then that could work.
And I see that they're another team I don't see Nick Claxton staying there for very long. I imagine.
I thought he'd be gone last year.
I thought he was going to go to the Lakers for sure.
Yeah.
I thought the Lakers would jump all over that, but they didn't. So we'll see where he ends up, but I don't know that he stays there too much longer. And last on my I think could be surprise list is pick 41 from the Warriors.
41. Oh my.
From the Warriors, Kobe Bryant.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, if you're shooting 50% from three, and then you shoot, and that's at Dayton, and then you go to
Kentucky,
Kentucky, and you shoot 47%.
Yeah.
I'm gonna like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, especially going to the Warriors too. Like, what the hell?
right.
Curry to
he's like
Brea.
a warrior. Right. And I just like, I don't know. He doesn't provide much as far as like defense and anything like that.
Yeah.
But I think that with shooting, you can find yourself a good role
Yeah.
on a team, especially like the Warriors who are going to play. I mean, Jimmy Butler and Draymond and Trace Jackson Davis and these. I don't know, is he still out there? And
Yeah.
these guys who are non-shooters. I think that it's going to turn out good for him. It's a chance for him to really, if he can take his
Yeah.
50% 3-point shooting and move it to the pro level, then that can really open
for
up
sure.
some floors. Now he'll have to compete with Buddy Hield and stuff, but
I
think he could be a cheaper option, and they could end up looking at
Yeah.
moving Buddy Hield.
I definitely agree. Any shooter that the Warriors grab, they always have that one guy off the bench
man.
that's like, yeah, fire him up.
Yeah, right. And going back to even like Yakachunas.
Sorry, I messed you up on that forever.
Yeah, right. Coaches are a big deal, and Eric Spoelstra and Steve Kerr are two, like, they are, if you can play, they are going to figure out how to get you the ball in the spots that you need to get the ball in, and you'll be successful. So
Yeah.
It's why I don't really see teams like Washington and the Nets and Hornets, like, I don't see them being like these players. I don't see being very beneficial fantasy-wise, because I don't think that their coaches can get them in the spots they need to.
Yeah, I agree. I like Fernandez on the Nets a little more than the others, but I do agree. I'm kind of with you on that. And Kobe's one of two on the second round that I highlighted. That's just how bad it was. But
it was not good.
I think Kalkbrenner's the other one, which
I had him.
I'm not, he is what he is, but I do think going into Charlotte, they have a pretty good track record lately with centers getting some action with Mark Williams. And
Right.
I think with the pick and roll, he'll have some look with LaMelo. And
Who's their starting center right now? Diabate.
yeah, which he was decent last year, but
Yeah, right. But if Kalkbrenner can shoot the ball, if he can show that he can, which he did in the summer league,
yeah,
I can see him take it. I just think he's a little slow foot, so he's not going to.
He is, but that's why I thought about what's his face, Purdue last year.
Edie.
Yeah, Edie. I thought he was going to be too slow for the NBA, and even then he translated a lot better than. I mean, you remember Luka Garza?
Right.
He did not translate hardly at all. I mean, he's still playing, but I feel like those guys can actually start a game and produce something. Maybe they're not going to be fantastic, but they can be a starting center or a backup center and produce something. So I think them too. The only other one I wanted to mention was Boston, who is one of the few teams that I trust drafting internationally. Hugo Gonzalez. I'm pretty excited about him. I don't know if you got to watch him at all, but similar to Luka, played for Real Madrid. Did pretty well there. Pretty high pedigree, actually, coming out of Spain. But I think with Tatum being out, I do see, obviously he's small forward. Hugo's more of a point guard, but kind of like Peyton Pritchard, where he plays hard. I feel like he's gonna have to improve his shot a little bit. But as far as playmaking ability, he's had a couple years of experience doing that. So I feel like out of any franchise, Boston's a pretty good place to land for him. So
yeah, Boston's their ability to plug people in is insane.
Yeah.
So I like, again, talking about coaches. I mean, I like the coach they have there. So I think he can find players.
Yeah.
Find ways to get players to be in the right spots, and there's no pressure on him. Like, I like situations where there's no pressure. They're going to come in and it's going to be Jaylen Brown's team and Derek White and these guys who've been there, and Jason Tatum's going to be out the whole year, I believe. Maybe he might come in back at the playoffs, but that's like a big if.
Yeah.
But so there's no pressure on him to really be anything.
They're just going to give him a run and see how he plays, and I think he might produce.
I have a guy who I was going to ask you about. What do you think about Behringer for the Wolves?
He's actually highlighted right here on this list.
Yeah.
I really like his profile. I don't, from a fantasy perspective, this year's probably a wash, but I actually do. I'm trying to get better at scouting internationally because I feel like once Luka hit, then I was like, okay, there's something that I need to pay more attention because I just was not looking at many people. So I think Behringer was one of the few this year that I'm like, I could see him translating pretty well. And obviously playing with Wemby in some of their tournaments and just watching him play, I'm pretty excited about him. He's only got a few years experience, but that's more than some of these guys. So.
Right. I thought he was great in summer league. I thought his defensive impact was immediate.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was tip off. He gets 2 or 3 blocks like first possession.
Yeah.
So that right away, I'm like, he's got an instinct, but I worry in the pros if they do play him. I mean, if he's jump happy, then teams are going to eat him alive. With getting fouled out and stuff. But he's behind Rudy Gobert.
Right.
And if he can, I mean, as much as people want to joke about Rudy Gobert, the guy
we do.
Is right. yeah. The guy has been in the league forever, and he's gotten 2 or 3 max contracts.
Yeah.
So he's doing something right.
Yeah, he's set a model
for sure.
He surely set a model for French centers. Like, hey, this is what how we're gonna play. And no, I'm excited about him. He's a good lob catcher. I could see him, Gobert passes or he did to Towns quite a bit too. So I could see some action there.
Right. And I was going to ask you about Janssen, Hansen, but I think
how did he get the name Hansen? I just got to know.
I don't know how he got it. But I think he's interesting. He's behind Klingon and some other guys, and I don't think he'll play that much. But I think his passing is pretty good. And they take him 16 out of the stands, and so.
But I mean, Portland. What's Portland doing, man? I mean, they brought back Dame, but what are they doing?
Who's not going to play?
I know. I mean, I like some of their guys. I love Kamara, and
they trade away Anthony Simons.
Thank God, finally.
Right. So they can play, I guess, Scoot and Shaden, so they can just have the most athletic backcourt maybe ever that can't shoot.
Yeah, exactly.
So
at least they got rid of one of the 3.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like their backcourt reminds me a lot of Washington with John Wall. Except Beal can shoot, but it's just I don't know where it's going to go. Those two guys, they both are so ball dominant, and in order to do anything, they need the ball in their hands. And they're just not going to both be able to share it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, but lastly, I was going to go over some people that we just absolutely hate.
Perfect.
In this draft.
Yes, there's plenty of those.
We'll keep it short
Okay.
to who your most hated player is, and I'll start.
Okay.
Because I'm afraid that you might have the same name. I hate Derek White.
Yeah, come on.
I hate that guy. I don't have anything against him personally. He's got great touch. He can handle the ball. He's 6'8", 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
He's just the worst athlete to ever. It is statistically shown that he had the worst combine in the history of combine.
Man.
It just athletically, he is terrible.
And they traded up for this guy.
And they gave a first round pick.
Yeah, they get unprotected. They gave up the house.
And they're not going to be good.
No, just to pair him with Zion, who is also.
Yeah, this is a lottery pick.
Yeah.
That they're giving away to get this guy. And I mean, they took him over. They took him over.
Plenty of guys.
It's insane.
Bryant.
Yeah, Bryant.
I would have taken Bryant there.
Walter Clayton. I mean, Hanson Young. Thomas Sorber. Asa Newell.
Yeah, plenty of guys that could have gone above him.
Yeah. I just can't. I don't know what they saw. I don't know. And in the summer league, he looked slow, and he looked like he wasn't able to keep up with people.
He's that college player that's really good in college, but he reminds me of Okafor from Duke.
Yeah.
Marvin Bagley, just that style of player where they're like, yeah, in college you're gonna just roll over people and look good, and then you're gonna get to the NBA and you're gonna realize you're too small to fight in the middle with the bigs, and you don't have a good enough touch to shoot outside of that. At least he can kind of create his own shot, but he's just kind of that unique player that doesn't really fit the NBA game today. Back in the 2000s, maybe he'd fit a little better, but it's kind of gone away from that style player.
I just couldn't. I couldn't see what they were doing, and I don't know what they're doing there. It just 20% from three last year from three.
Yeah.
I mean 52% from the field in general.
Yeah, that's not
I just
good.
don't see. I mean, he makes a game winner on a lucky runner on the left side, which is like
that's
awesome, good for you. But what's that doing?
all right.
But that was my guy.
Okay. I mean, he was definitely on my list for worst pick. There's a couple, but I think I'll go with one of Brooklyn's. You know, you touched on Danny Wolf. He was kind of on my hate list, but after hearing you talk about him, I feel at least like he's okay. You know, but Ben Saraf.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
know
like,
anything about him.
he's from Israel. Obviously, I'm going to compare him to Denny Avdia because he's also from Israel, but they're actually a very similar player. Like everything I'm reading about him, the minimal footage that I've seen of him, he's the same guy. Which, you know, obviously Avdia has turned into a usable fantasy player and decent starter, but they don't really shoot very well. He's not really offensively minded. He'll kind of do what's asked of him, getting rebounds, and you know he can pass the ball. He's got decent vision, but just going into the Nets too, I'm like, I don't trust them with international players. Don't know what sort of run he's going to get. And he's kind of that tweener player where you're like, you're not going to shoot the lights out, but you're also not going to, you know, be super talented defensively. So where do you get playing time? So
I don't know.
I think they kind of just shot in the dark with a lot of their picks. They're like, well, we got 5 of them, so let's just have some fun.
Do you know what? Do you have his size? What? So he's a 3 or 4.
He's a 3-4 combo. I think he's like 6'7" or 6'8", so he's got some size, but
he's just never going to play with Michael Porter Jr. and Cam Thomas and these guys who are just all ahead of him.
Right. You know? I don't see him developing. I guess is what I'm saying. Although I kind of said the same about Avdia, and he turned out okay, but we'll see. Yeah. I'm not super high on him.
I'm with you on that. I think that was kind of just we have so many picks. Let's just take one that we think may turn into something.
Yeah.
That was the last pick they had.
No, they
first 20,
they had Wolf right after him, but
oh, you're right.
Yeah.
The back-to-back picks. I mean.
Yeah, they could get both. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a bad one. We'll see. I mean, it's a couple of years. He could, like you said, turn into Danny Avdia.
Yeah.
Danny Avdia,
Which, I mean, successful, you know, end of first round, if that's what you turn into. That's about all you can ask for. But I think Avdia was probably in the top 10 when he got drafted, so he's not highly touted as much.
Right. But, well, it's been great to break down this, first episode, man. It's nice to get it under our belt, and we'll.
They tried to stop us. They did everything they could to keep us off the air, but here we are.
2 weeks now we tried to get this thing going. So here we are. Please comment, like, subscribe, do all the stuff. Like if you have any advice for us, please. We're always open to hearing anything, and we appreciate everybody stopping by.
Absolutely, yeah. Follow the socials, and we're just 2 guys from Texas trying to have some fun. So please chime in and give us some feedback. But I know we'll be back next week, right, Bryan? And we'll start getting into some of the previews a little bit more in depth with teams. And I don't know if we'll start with the West or Eastern Conference yet, but we'll probably break it down by conference and just go through some fantasy relevant players we're looking at and kind of go through each roster and what we think of those. So make sure you tune in for that.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
All right, man.